Okay, solutions to chapter 20. We wanted to show that 1000% was 10. 1000 times 1 over 100 is indeed 10. We wanted to convert 21 to a percent, so 21 times 1, 21 times 1, we get the percent sign in, and that's 2100, 2100%. Convert 21% to a decimal, 21%, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. Convert 77 and 7/9% to a fraction. First convert 77 and 7/9 to a mixed number. So, to a fraction, it's a mixed number now. 9 times 77 plus 7 is supposed to be 700 over 9. We still have the percent sign, which means we divide by 100 or multiply by 1 over 100, and we get 7 over 9. Okay, you can look at that for a few seconds. So you have 700 over 9 over 100. The 100 drops out. You're left with 7 over 9. Convert 7 over 6 to a percent and write as a mixed number. So 7 over 6 times 1. That gives you 700 over 6%. And you wanted the percent sign, and 6 goes into 700, apparently 116 times, and you're left with 4 over 6 or 2 over 3. Okay, you want to look at that for a few seconds. Okay. And, well, that can't be it. Then we are doing the next chapter, chapter 21, solutions. We wanted to convert what is 20% of 80. Amount is percent of base. So A is percent of base. What is 20%? What is 0.2 of 80? 16. So 16 is 20% of 80. 80 is 20% of what number? Okay. 20 is 0.2. Again, 80 is 0.2 of the unknown b. Call it b, call it x. Divide by 0.2, you get 80 over 0.2. Divide both sides by 0.2, that becomes 1 times b. That's what you wanted. What is b? So 1 times b, and that's like multiplying by 100 over 100, so 800 over 2, or 400. So 80 is 20% of 400. Then 20 is what percent of 80? 20 is what percent? That's your unknown. You can make it x, you can make it p sub d of 80. Divide both sides by 80, and you get 20 over 80, 2 over 8, 1 over 4, which is 0.25, multiplied by 1 in the form of 100%. That gives you 25%. So 20 is 25% of 80. As I said earlier, you could have made it a proportion. Percent is to 100 as amount is to base. Of base is in the denominator. And then there are 25 students in a class. 4 of these students earned the grade of A. What percent of the class scored less than A and round to the nearest percent? So 4 A students is what percent of 25? 4 is what percent? P sub d or x of 25. Divide both sides by 25, multiply by 1 in the form of 100% to get the percent in. So you have 400 over 25, which is 16. 16%. And 100 minus 16 is 84, so 84% of the class scored less than A, because 16% got A, and that's what I wanted, I guess. Yeah, what percent of the class scored less than A? Okay, you want to look at that quickly? And then you want to buy a house. Your house is $629,000. You need 20% down. You have $105,000 in the bank. How much more money do you need? Well, what is the down payment? 20% of $629,000, which looks like $125,800. That's what you need, 20% down payment. And you need $125,800. You have $105,000 in the bank. You still need $20,800. You subtract what you need from what you have. That's what you need. Okay, a few seconds for that one. Of all the students at the university, 1,635 are graduate students. 85% of all the students are undergraduates, so not graduate students. What is the total number of students at the university? Okay. The percent of graduates is 100 minus 85 of those who are not graduates, so 15%. And 15%, the number of graduates is 15% of all the students. The number of graduates, 1,635, is 15% of all the students. B is all the students. Divide both sides by 0.15. Multiply by 100 over 100. Move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Divide, you get 10,900. Okay. The Golden Nest buys a wedding ring at a cost of $1,395. The markup rate is 65%. What is the markup and what is the sales price? Let S be the sales price. The cost is $1,395 and the markup rate is 65% or 0.65. Now the markup is a percent of the cost. And the cost was $1,395. So markup is 0.65 times that number, which should give you $906.75. So the markup is $906.75. The sales price is the cost plus the markup. So 1,395 plus 906.75 or $2,301.75. The markup could also be said as 0.5. The cost is 1.0. The cost plus the markup plus for every $1 is $1.65. So 1.65 of 1,395 is also 2,301.75. This is another way of doing it, maybe a better way, a quicker way, a more compact way. And then the Golden Nest buys a necklace at a cost of $235.00. It is on sale for $675. Find the markup rate as a percent and round it to the nearest percent. So let X be the markup rate. The cost is $235. The sales price is $675. The markup is $675 minus $235 or $440. Now we have a number for the markup. And the markup is percent of cost. Markup is percent of cost. Divide both sides by 235. And you are getting apparently 88 over 47. That's your rate. And if you divide, you get 1.8723, I guess rounded to the fourth decimal, and multiply by 1, that's 100%, 100%, you get 187.27. Round to the nearest cent, round to the nearest percent, 187%. As a check, 1 plus 1.87 times 235 is indeed 674.45. You're off by 55 cents, that's due to rounding errors. I think they will give you the 55 cents. And then, the Golden Nest sells a bracelet for $59.99. The markup is 35%. What was the cost of the bracelet? And again, round to the nearest percent. Let C be the cost. Then the markup is 0.35, that's 35% of the cost. And the sales price is the cost plus the markup. And these are like terms. 1 plus 0.35 is 1.35 of the cost. So the sales price is equal to the sales price. That's my equation. One way of writing the sales price is 1.35C. The other way is 59.99. And in order to get the cost, I divide both sides by 1.35, which gives me the value. What is that X doing here? I don't think that's supposed to be here, and it isn't. So forgetting about this X, dividing 59.99 by 135 should give you $44.44. Okay? This X should not be here. Send me an email so that I can remove that for future reference. And the markup is, I guess this is just a check, 35% of the cost, which is $15.55. And if you add these two, you get the sales price of $59.99. This is just a check to make sure that your previous result is correct. And then you want to look at this very quickly again. Okay. A $1,250, that's a regular price computer, has been sitting at the tech store for over a year. The merchant encourages you to buy the computer after applying a 33% discount. How much are you buying the computer for? So let S be the sales price. The discount is 33% of the regular price. The discount is the discount rate of the regular price. The discount is the discount rate of the regular price, $412.50. And the sales price is the cost minus the discount, which should give you $837.50. You want to look at that quickly? This is a funny sign for multiplication. You do that in programming. We can replace this by a dot, or we could put parentheses around both of these numbers, meaning multiplication. Then the regular price of a phone call me is $89.99. It is discounted to sell for $67.99. What is the discount rate? So let X be the discount rate. I always know the solution to whatever I'm looking for, right? There it is. It's in the X box. The discount is the regular price minus the discount, which is $22. And the discount is a percent of the regular price. Divide both sides by 89.99. Again, the x should not, yeah, the x should be here. That x should be correct. And that's supposed to give you 0.2445. And multiply by 100%, move the decimal point 2 places to the right, 24.45%, rounded to 24%. Okay, you want to look at that for a little while? In 12, we wanted to find the regular price of a TV set that sells for $345 with a discount rate of 21%. So sales price $345, discount rate 0.21. Let R be the regular price, which we want to find. The discount is 21% of the regular price, which is, the regular price is the sales price minus the discount. Why is that a plus? Oh, that's the regular price. The regular price minus the discount is the sales price. So add the discount to both sides and it shows up on this side. So S is R minus 0.21 R. That's the discount. The regular price minus the discount is 0.79 of the regular price. And regular price equals regular price. One way of writing the regular price, 0.79 R, another way, 345. That's your equation. You divide both sides by 0.79, and you are getting $436.71. And then you can check that. So let's do that again. We have the regular price, we have the discount. The sales price is the regular price minus the discount, which is 0.79 times the regular price. And that is also given as 345. So divide both sides, you get 436.71. Okay, I'll go on. Here are the solutions to chapter 22. The population of Atherton decreased from 7,194 to 6,914. The difference is 280, and the percent decrease is 280 over 7,194 times 100, or 3.9%. Look at that for about 10 seconds. Okay, I'm going on. The population, that was an increase. This is a decrease, I think, from 30,000. No, that's an increase. From 30,785 to 32,026. The difference of these figures is 1,241. I know it's a decrease, so there's a negative sign implied in the word decrease. And the percentage rate, the percentage is 1,241 divided by the original 30,785 times 100, which comes out to be 4%. Look at that for a few seconds. How are we doing? All right, I'm glad most of you got the answer. It's not that difficult, is it? Math is not impossible to conquer, but you need a lot of elbow grease. Math is 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. How much money does a salesperson earn on 3,175 at 12%? Amount is percent of, so 12% of 3,175 or $381. A retailer buys a mattress for $2,800. The markup rate is 50%. What's the sales price? The markup is 50%, so 0.5 of 2,800, which is 1,400, half of this. This figure is added to the original cost, 2,800, and the sales price is 4,200. How's that? Okay. Not impossible to conquer. And I hope you don't use a calculator except the one you come attached to. Once you grab for a calculator, it's very difficult to do things without. I had a student once who needed to add 1 and 4. What did the student do? Picks up a calculator, punches in 1 plus 4. Oh, that's 5. You need a calculator to add 1 and 4 in algebra? Oh my God. What is this country coming to? Retailer has difficulty selling. This is the sales price. He wants to discount at what percent rate? 50%. So the discount is 50%, 0.5 of the sales price, the regular price, 4,200. That looks like 2,100. He discounts by that, so he's still left with $2,100. And again, why is that figure lower? We went up 50%, we went down 50%. Why is 2,100 less than the original, whatever it was, 2,800? So he has to eat about $700 here. Simple interest. Principal 5,200, interest rate 20%, so 0.2, 18 months, 1.5 year. Principal times rate as a decimal times 1.5 years, $1,560. Add this interest to the original principal. You need to pay $6,760 in order to retire this loan. What is the interest on the loan? A similar loan, but you compound it semi-annually. Okay? So there are 3 6-month periods. First year, principal 5,200, interest 520. So principal for these at the beginning of the second 6-month period, 5,200 plus 520, 5,720. Times 20% times half a year, which is $572, which is added to the previous 5,720 to give you 6,292. That's at the beginning of the last 6 months. You pay interest on $6,292. That amount, 20% of that 1/2 a year, $629.20. I'll give you a few seconds to look at that. And this amount is added to the previous principal. That's how much you have to pay back. Okay. So it's 6,292 plus 629.2, $6,921.20. How many people got that? 11 people? Oh, I wish it had been a little bit more than 11 people. That's only about 70% of the class? We couldn't make it 95% or even 100? No, we have another application of percent. So how much more did you have to pay in compounding as compared to simple interest? $161.20. Chapter 23 in my book, Introduction to Negative Numbers. What are we covering in the textbook? 7.1, Introduction to Signed Numbers. 7.2, Adding Signed Numbers. 7.3, Subtracting Signed Numbers. Okay? So the basics. You probably remember that natural or counting numbers are 1, 2, 3, and so on. For whole numbers, you add the number 0. And the numbers illustrated can be put on a number line. You have tick marks. You have 1, 2, 3, and so on. Now the tick marks can be extended on the other side. You are 1, 2, 3 distance away from 0. Just like here, you are 1, 2, 3 away from 0. How do you distinguish between the numbers on the right and the left? One possibility is you put in a subscript. 1 to the right, 2 to the right, 3 to the right, 1 to the left, 2 to the left, 3 to the left. That's one solution. People didn't go for it, but it is one solution. So how did people do it? Instead of right, you call these numbers to the right of 0 positive numbers, to the left of 0 negative numbers. So you have a +1, +2, +3, and plus is not very good, that means addition. So +1, +2, +3, -1, negative numbers to the left of 0. Don't say minus, that means subtraction. Say -1, -2, -3. Although minus gets you by, but it does not sound right. Okay. Now, two numbers are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides. They are appropriately called opposites. 3 and -3 are opposites. 5 and -5 are opposites. And now look at this. What is the opposite of -3? If this is -3, its opposite is on the other side, it's +3. So the opposite of -3, the opposite of -5 is +5. Please do not say negative and negative is positive, okay? If and usually or sometimes means addition, a negative number and a negative number is a more negative number. You are in debt, you will be more in debt if you have a plus sign between the two. This means opposite of opposite, that gives you a positive number. The distance a number is from 0 is written between vertical bars. The number 4 is 4 units from 0. The number -4 is also 1, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0. So the absolute value is never a negative number. There is an algebraic way of defining absolute value, but that's beyond what we are supposed to do. I have to hold my arm back not to show you that. So I'm holding my arm back. Is there a need for negative numbers? Consider temperature on the Fahrenheit scale. Water freezes at 32 degrees. And why 32? Here's a little bit of history. Fahrenheit proposed his temperature scale in 1724, about 300 years ago, basing it on 3 reference points of temperature. In his initial scale, which is not the final Fahrenheit scale, the 0 point is determined by placing the thermometer in brine, and he used a mixture of ice, water, and ammonium chloride and salt at a ratio of 1 to 1 to 1. So 1 portion of ice, 1 portion of water, and 1 portion of ammonium. This is a frigorific, and I don't know what this term means, mixture which stabilizes its temperature automatically, and that stable temperature was defined as 0. So 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which on the Celsius scale is this number. The second point is at 32 degrees. That's a mixture of ice and water without the ammonium chloride. That's in a ratio of 1 to 1. And the third point, 96 degrees, was approximately that of the human temperature, which is called blood heat. I think he was trying to shoot for 100 and he missed it a little bit. On the Fahrenheit scale, water boils at 212 degrees. And 0 is colder on the Fahrenheit scale. 0 is colder than the temperature required for water to start freezing, going from liquid to the solid state. And 0 is even colder on the Fahrenheit scale than freezing. So freezing and colder, colder, colder. So you have a 0 right here. There was a meaning to Fahrenheit, but he didn't quite get what was appropriate. On the Celsius scale, on the other hand, which most countries use, not the United States, right? We are different. The rest of the world should do what we are doing. Yeah. So on the Celsius scale, 0 is where water starts freezing, and 100 is where water starts boiling. So going from liquid to ice, 0 degrees, and going from water to vapor, 100 degrees. Now the temperature in January in Alaska is even colder than water starting to freeze, and you use negative numbers then, because beyond 0 in the negative direction is negative numbers. So we use negative numbers. Where else can you use negative numbers? Do you know poor souls who are overdrawn at their bank? Bank love those customers because they bring in overdraft fees. Oh, please be overdrawn and send us some extra money for the privilege of us paying, or not even paying, but processing your reject. Also in commerce, profits are computed by using positive numbers and negative numbers for losses. So positive for profit, negative for losses. What sign would you attach to the natural debt? A big negative sign. Because what is it now? About 17 trillion. And by the time you read this, 18, 19, 20 trillion. Oh, is it so nice to have a printing press and just keep on printing money? My children and your grandchildren are going to pay for it. But that's okay. Like Louis XIV, après moi le déluge, after me the flood. Water covers a little more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, so it's convenient to take the ocean surface and make that the 0 point in altitude. Mount Whitney in California is the highest summit in the contiguous United States with an elevation of 14,505 feet. I wonder how much off they are with the 5 feet. The positive number means higher than sea level. Think of the number line which is vertical. And Death Valley is at 282 feet below sea level at some point. So the altitude is negative 282. Okay. Now some examples. Where on the number line would you place the number 1.5? Between 1 and 2, about halfway between 1 and 2. How about negative 2.8, between negative 2 and negative 3, and close to negative 3? And where would you put the opposite of negative 4.1? This is negative 4.1. The opposite is positive 4.1. So that wasn't too bad. Place a dot at the midpoint between negative 5 and positive 3 on the number line, and state which number is associated with that dot. You are at 3, at negative 5, that's a distance of 8. 5, tick mark, 5 intervals here, and 3 intervals here, that's a total of 8. And the midpoint is a distance half of 8, which is 4. 4 positions down from here is negative 1. So negative 5 to negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1 to positive 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's indeed the midpoint. Midpoint is at negative 1. What is the smallest negative number, which means the most negative? Smallest means as far as possible to the left of the number line. What is the smallest negative number? That can be formed by using these 4 digits, 4170. And we want a negative number, so there's a negative sign in front of the number. And the smallest number is, the most negative number is negative 7,410. On the other side, the largest positive number is 7,410. So we use 741 and a 0. And then we wanted to place a less than, equal, or greater than sign between these two. On the number line, -4 is to the left, -1 is to the right, -1 is a larger number. That's the symbol. Remember, the fish gobbles up the smaller number. There we go. And then, oh, excuse me, I need to turn out the light. So we wanted to simplify the opposite of absolute value of -4. The absolute value of -4 is +4, and the opposite of +4 is -4. And then we wanted to simplify the opposite of -4, not the same thing. You have the opposite of -4, so you jump from -4 to the positive side. That should be +4. -4 for A, +4 for B. Okay? And then I guess I propose a set of exercises for you to do. Where on the number line would you place the numbers -3.5, Q, which is 4.8, and R is the opposite of +0.9. So -3.5, 4.8, 0.9. Place a dot midway between -4 and +6. Okay, midpoint between -4 and 6. What is the largest, which means the least negative number? So we want a negative number that can be formed by using the digits 5, 2, 9, and 1. So least negative, which means most positive. The largest positive number is 5. Oh, those are exercises. I'm not supposed to tell you the solution. Solution is for you to find out. So, least negative, the largest number, 5, 2, 9, 1. Place a less than or greater than or equal sign between -5 and +1. -5 and +1. Simplify the opposite of the negative of the absolute value of -4. Take it step by step. And what is the absolute value of the opposite of -4? Enjoy. No, I don't think that's a new tape. Okay, this does not belong here. So we want to add signed numbers. One method is to think of the balance in your checking account. 5 plus 2 is 7. You have $5 in your checking account. You take $2 to the bank. You have $7 in your checking account. So 5 plus 2 is 7. You have $5 in your checking account. You write a check for $2. You're left with $3. So 5 plus -2 is 3. -5 plus 2. You are overdrawn $5, you carry $2 to the bank. The bank says, thank you, you paid us part of what you owe us. You still owe us $3. So -5 plus 2 is -3. Then -5 plus -2, you were overdrawn $5 and you have the nerve to write another check for $2. Now you're overdrawn $7. Plus overdraft fees, which we are not concerned with. There are no overdraft fees in our banks. And so that's one way of thinking of adding positive and negative numbers. Think of your bank account. Another method is to use a positive number to represent an arrow. An arrow to the right is a positive number. An arrow to the left is a negative number. The number of tick marks tell you what the number itself is. 4 or 5 is an arrow that points to the right, 5 units, and you have tick marks from 0 to 5. So you have a total of 6 tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are 5 intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length of this arrow is 5 units. Point to the right, positive. Point to the left, negative. This is 0, -1, -2. It's 2 units long, so there are 3 tick marks. You add 5 to 7. You place the starting point of one of the vectors, that's a 5 unit long, at 0. It ends at 5. At the end point of the first one, you place the starting point of the second, and you keep on going 2 more units to the right, and you end at 7. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 plus -2, so you place this second arrow, the starting point, at the end point of the first one. It points in that direction, so you backtrack 2 steps and you end up at +3. So 5 minus 2 plus -2 is +3. -5 plus +2 makes you end up at -3. So -5 plus 2 is -3, using arrows. And -5 plus -2 makes you end at -7. So that's another way of working with the addition of signed numbers. Which of these 2 methods do you prefer? It's up to you. There is still another method. When you add 2 numbers, or this is good for lawyers, future lawyers, or paralegals, to add numbers of the same sign, 2 positive or 2 negative numbers, take the absolute value of the 2 numbers, so you have 5 and 7, add the absolute values, 5 plus 2 is 7. The sign of the result is the sign of the original numbers, positive, so +7. Got it? Ooh. And 2 signs, absolute value of this, absolute value of that, so it's 5 and 2 for the absolute values. Add the absolute values, you get 7. The original numbers are negative, your result is negative, -7. If the signs of the original numbers are opposite, the sign of the opposite, I just said that. To add 2 numbers of opposite signs, one positive and one negative. Obtain the absolute value of the 2 numbers. Absolute value of -5 is 5. Absolute value of 2 is 2. Subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value, you get 3. And the sign of the result is the sign of the larger number before you took the absolute value. So that's -3. This should be -3 right there. About 5 minus 2, we just done that one. Then we want to have 5 plus -2. Take the absolute value of the 2, that's 5, that's 2. Oh, that's a plus sign? I thought I wanted the negative sign. Yeah. To obtain the absolute value of the 2, you have the absolute value of 5, absolute value of 2. You subtract, you get 3. The larger number originally was 5, so that should be positive. That should be positive, it's +3. Here is still another method for doing it. And you have -5 plus 2, you have 2 negative signs, you have 5 plus signs, and the positive and the negative number is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So you have the positive and negative numbers which balance out. You have 2 negatives, 2 positives, balances out, they are gone. You're left with 3 positive signs. The answer is +3. You have -5 plus -2. This is not a division sign. It means that I use negative signs and positive signs now. -5, 5 negative signs, added to 2 negative signs, which gives you 7 negative signs, or -7. Okay, then we wanted some examples. We wanted to find the altitude of Chicago. If you start at Fountain Valley, California, at an altitude of 20 feet above sea level, and pass through the following cities with indicated absolute values. So you drive from Fountain Valley to Las Vegas. You went up 1,995 feet. And then you went from Las Vegas to Denver. You went up an additional 3,265. You went from Denver to Lincoln, Nebraska. You went down 4,146 feet. And you go from Lincoln to Cedar Rapids in Iowa. You go down another 134 feet. And finally, you take negative 403 feet to go from Cedar Rapids, Iowa to Chicago. So if you add all these numbers, you should be the elevation of Chicago. So you add this number to that one, that's your new altitude, above zero, above zero, above zero. So 597 feet above zero, which is the altitude of Chicago. Oh well, so much for that example. And then the Microsoft stock changed as follows. In the year 2008, it was negative 44.10. That was a change from the previous year. And then you had an increase in 09, you had a decrease in 10, you had a decrease in 11, and you have an increase in 12. What was the stock worth? How much more was the stock worth in 2012 than it was in 28? So I guess this is at the end here, that is at the beginning of 2008. This is the end of 2012. You add up all of these numbers, and you are supposed to get $10.38. So negative 44.10 plus 59.47 plus negative 6.63 plus negative 4.55 plus 6.09. You can add all the positive numbers by themselves. You can associate, you can commute, so you can move the positive, you can move the signed numbers around. All of these are plus, otherwise we couldn't do it. And you bring the two positive numbers together, you bring the two negative numbers together. You add the two positive numbers, 65.56. You add the three negative numbers, that's 55.28. That has a negative sign. So you add the positive to the negative number, and you get positive because your positive is bigger, and you get 10.38. So the stock changed. You have it's $10.38 more than at the end of 2012 than it was at the beginning of 2008. Is the sum of two negative numbers always negative? Explain and give an example. Is the sum of two opposite numbers sometimes negative? Explain and give an example. The sum of two negative numbers is always negative. If you're in debt and you go more in debt, you're definitely in debt. Negative 4 plus negative 5 is negative 9. The sum of two opposite signs, negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Negative 6 plus 9 is positive 3. So sometimes the result is positive, sometimes it's negative. It can even be 0. Like 5 plus negative 5, they're opposite, and they add to 0. And then I wanted to give you some exercises. You want to find the altitude of a plane departing LAX at altitude 111 feet. And climbing to an altitude, and climbing to 30,000 feet, find the altitude of the plane. So this is the change in altitude. what is the question? Find the altitude of the plane. Well, the altitude of the plane is 30,000 if I write it that way. If I meant that he climbs 30,000 feet above where he was from Los Angeles, then you add the two. So this question is misleading. You get the answer immediately, the way it's written. Okay. Then we have the following approach. Oh, we want to... This is still problem 1. Okay, so he climbs to... so maybe what I have given you is right. The plane goes to JFK in New York. The change was he was requested to climb another 1,000 feet. Then he was requested to drop 3,000 feet. And he was requested to drop 4,000 feet. And he was requested to climb 1,000 feet. That should be negative here and positive here. And what was the altitude of the plane on final approach? All right, so let's try to recap this. He goes from LAX, which is 111, he climbs to 3,000, and then he climbs again, he drops, and he climbs again. Where is he now? Second question. The Standard & Poor's Stock 500 index on 9/16 at the year 2013 was $1,697.60. Find the price at the close of 4 days later. If the daily change is as follows. This was the close. This was at the close. And this was a net change. And that was on the first day, on the second day, on the third day, on the fourth day, and on the fifth day you went down. So first you go up, then you go down. What is it at the end? I guess you add all these changes. Oh, this is what you're supposed to do. So at the close it was here. Maybe I should have said that's the beginning. And then you have all these changes, and what you end later, after you make these changes from here, starting with that. So you really get the close of 920 or the beginning of 921. Now, what is the sum of a number and the absolute value of its opposite? Well, be my guest. Do an example. Okay. In chapter 25, we are subtracting negative numbers. Okay. Let's review the addition of signed numbers. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 plus negative 2 is 3. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7. This is what I have in the bank. $5, $5. I'm overdrawn $5 here. I add $2 to the bank. I write a check for $2. I was overdrawn $5. I carried $2 to the bank. I was overdrawn $5, and I'm writing a check for $2. I'm overdrawn $7. Okay? If we remember that, subtraction is going to be very quick. To change subtraction to subtract signed numbers, we make two changes. Change number 1, we change subtraction to addition. Number 2, the number that we originally subtracted, we add the opposite of that original number. Examples. 5 minus 2, change number 1, subtract to addition. Change number 2, we subtracted positive 2, so we add negative 2. Okay, I'm changing subtraction to addition. 5 plus 7. I'm changing subtraction to addition, negative 5 plus negative 2. I'm changing subtraction to addition, negative 2 plus 2. Negative 5 plus 2. That's it. We are just about finished. And we have about 8 minutes left. Okay. Let x be the number What number is subtracted from negative 300 to get 54? Be careful. What number is subtracted from negative 300? Let x be that number, subtract from 300, which is 54. So the number itself has to be negative 354. Yes, negative 354. Okay? Did that get you? Yep. An airplane flies at an altitude of 25,000 feet above submarine, submerged at 50 feet below sea level, directly above the plane, or directly below the plane. How far is it from the submarine to the plane in a vertical distance? Set up a distance as a subtraction and then simplify. So the sum is at negative 50. The plane is at 25,000, and the distance is the positive number, 25,000, minus the smaller number, minus negative 50, that's plus 50, or 25,050. Okay? If you want to reason it out, you're at 0 here. You go 25,000 this way, you go 50 that way, so from here to here 50 plus another 25,000. But large number minus small number. Small number is negative, your answer is less than 25,000. Small number is negative, final answer is more than 25,000. Subtraction is not associative. If you draw parentheses around 12 and negative 9, around 5, negative 9 and negative 5, you end up with negative 2 on the left side and 8 on the right side. You want to look at that for a few seconds? Okay, you get 3 over here minus 5. You get 12 minus 4 over here, that's 8. Not the same thing. But if you convert subtraction to addition, 12 plus negative 9 plus negative 5, 12 plus negative 9 plus negative 5, and you associate the negative 9 with the 12, and then you associate the negative 9 with the negative 5. 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and 12 plus negative 14 is also negative 2. Addition is associative. Subtraction is not. Addition is associative, so we get the same answer on the left and the right. Same problem, but two different ways of looking at it. Now, a ball is dropped from a height of 36 inches. It rebounds to a height of 24 inches. It goes down again. It rebounds to a height of 10 inches, and the dog is getting it. So, what is the distance covered by the ball? 36 plus 24 plus 24 and so on. The first drop is negative 34 inches. First rebound 24, second drop negative 24, back to 16, down from 16 and back up to 10. So if you were to take the negative 36, or the 36 if you want to, minus 10, that would give you 16 feet. By adding just the numbers at the end. But the net distance is 36 feet plus 2 times 24 plus 2 times 16 plus 10. Or the total is supposed to be 126 inches. So you want to look at that. You were at 36 inches. So you're down on the floor, you come back 24, you go back 24 down, you come back 16, I think, right there, and you go down 16, and then you go up 10, and that's the end of it. The ball disappears. Place one set of parentheses and one set of brackets to make the following statement true. As it stands, you have 15 minus 3, which is 12, minus negative, I don't know what this really is, so it is missing something, maybe a parenthesis, maybe a bracket. This gives you a clue, there's something in between here. So how do you place one set of parentheses and one set of brackets? Parentheses inside the brackets to make it 10. Well, the solution is the negative 4 and the brackets right here. That gives you plus 4. That gives you in addition 7 minus 2, that gives you 5, and 15 minus 5 is 10. There's our 10. Then I have a set of exercises. What number is subtracted from negative 450 to get positive 450? Okay? Number subtracted from negative 450. A helicopter flies at an altitude of 5,000 feet above a submarine submerged at 100 feet below sea level, directly above the helicopter, directly below the helicopter. How far is it from the submarine to the helicopter? Okay. Use a subtraction to get the answer. Subtraction is not associative. Convert this to an addition with the same type of problem and prove that the associative property works. The ball is dropped from a height of 48 feet, drops down, bounces back 36, goes back down 36, bounces back up 27, goes back down 27. On the rebound of 21, it is stopped by some mean, maybe by a dog or something catching it. What is the total distance d traveled by this, what was it, a ball? And then we want to place a set of parentheses and one set of brackets such that negative 4 minus 3 minus 5 minus 4 is equal to negative 10. And again, you set the parentheses inside the brackets. Okay? And I think I'm out of time. We just made it. And I managed to get the video down to 1 hour, like I was supposed to. Half an hour, an hour. And I'll give you the solutions next time, next video. So enjoy this particular gift that I'm giving you.